Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing something back due to popular demand. You can see a reverse opening hood and things falling over next to me. But it's the Saab. So if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to help me grow this thing up a little bit. Head through the back catalog of what I got going on, and maybe there'll be something in there that piques your interest. Maybe you'll be entertained. Either way, thank you for being here. Today, again, like I said, we're working on the Saab. And after the test drive I took it on, after I finally got it running, there were a few issues that really sprung up that are kind of major. And I might as well show you what they are. First off, I can see vacuum hoses it just broke off. But I bought some other hose, and we're going to replace on that. I'm going to look around, see if there's any other vacuum hoses working around. And I'll take a look, see through here, and see what I can fix, and see if there's anything really majorly wrong with it. What's funny is I never took the battery out of this thing. It sat for a couple months outside in the cold. As you can see, my breath and the heater behind me. It's like 25 degrees in my garage, because you can see also that there is no insulation in here. You probably already knew that if you're an old watcher, but this thing, I had no hope of it actually firing up and running, but I guess I didn't give it any credit, because as soon as I turned the key, it fired right up. So we're going to get to work, like I said, on these problems. I forgot to tell you the other problem. Now, as you may or may not be able to see or hear, sorry about the microphone there right in my face, but I can't do much about it. It looks like it blew out the side of the exhaust here. I don't know if you can see yeah, it's New England problems. So the exhaust is blown out. I don't know what to do about this. Might have to just take and cut the pipe, and just cut the pipe again and just slide something on here just to delete on that, because if you see the rest of this car, it's not that great looking. Kind of rotted, kind of rusty, kind of hammered. So I mean, it looks like surface rust, but the exhaust is plainly factory from 1993. Except for back here, I kind of fixed on it a little bit. But this is blown out. Oops. So that's got to be addressed at some point, and well, that's about it for the exhaust. Everything else has been touched, so let's get to work. I went to the auto parts store and I picked up some vacuum hose. It says windshield washer hose, vacuum tubing. It's all the same thing. It's all just rubber hose. Obviously, on a car like this, you're going to see that you're going to have problems with old hoses and old rubber pieces and stuff. I mean, this thing, what's that, like a fuel pressure solenoid or something like that? I have no idea. I don't know Saabs. I just know take part, replace part. But you can see this thing is pretty hammered. I tried to put it, like, cut it to a better spot and put it on, but you go like this, and it shouldn't just break like that. That's not good. So I got this tubing. It feels way better. You can't just break the thing. And I'm not going to be all fancy like Saab probably was. I don't even know if this is the right size. Doesn't look like it. Looks like it fits here. I know I should probably throw some WD-40 on it or something to make it go on easier, but it went on there pretty easy. And I took the whole roll out, apparently. I'll probably just measure it out. That looks pretty good. Just, you don't have to be fancy with it. You know, just cut it with whatever you can cut it with. I'll do it a little favor and hang it underneath there. And then just slap it on wherever it came from. Actually, that went on a lot better than I was hoping for. Hopefully I didn't break anything. As I'm under here putting, vacuum hoses and stuff on, I can take this and take a look. I mean, look, that looks way better now. I don't know if it's going to make any performance advantage or not, but I mean, I'm sure there's something that was wrong there. Obviously, I'll go through all the rest of the stuff. Like, this hose actually feels really pliable, and I'm sure, the fact that it's got oil all over it probably helped it from drying out and stuff. And I'll take a look at all the rest of them. I'll try to cover that back up because that's supposed to be covered up, but it's not. Yeah, like I said, it's a 90s classic Saab 900. What do you want? It's going to have surface rust literally everywhere because it's a New England car. It lived its whole life in the Northeast. I gotta tell you, it may take a few minutes to put the quick jacks underneath the car you're working on and to get it positioned just right, especially if you're working by yourself, but man, does it make life so much easier. I mean, once you get her positioned and hit the button, it's like 10 seconds, this thing's in the air. And it's stable. I can work on the exhaust, I can look underneath it. It's so much better than just doing it with a jack. Ooh, I just walked by this and this fell off. Don't look at that. Excuse my mess, like always. But to make this exhaust thing happen, I have a plethora of parts and old pipes and adapters and everything that's about, let's say negative 30 degrees to the touch because it's freezing because it was outside. Is it plugged up with? Yeah, it's plugged up with stuff. But this is all Saab parts that I found outside because they have tiny exhaust. Now, I've got all sorts of adapters. As you can see, they're like a Russian nesting doll over here. And I have this pipe. Hopefully, with whatever I got laying around, I can adapt something to fit that pipe that's under the car. Because all I'm going to do is I'm going to hack it. I'm going to take a Sawzall, hack the bad parts off, and adapt something onto it, and probably use the cheapest possible welder that I have, which is a flux welder, to just tack it together so that it doesn't come apart. Because my good welder doesn't have any gas left. Progress report. As if you couldn't see from the really terrible time-lapse shot that I did. I got her hacked off. Don't do what I did and hold the pipe with your hand. Wow, this thing is really burred up. I should probably do something about it. I'm just looking for what size can I use to adapt this onto this. So I'm going through my whole big selection of pipe things here, and I gotta be honest with you, it ain't going great. However, if I do that and just use 2 pipe adapters and just kind of, I don't know, slide them around and space them out a little bit, I can really hack something together. Hey, look at that. See? And then I'll just, like, I don't know, throw a bunch of welds on it and weld it up. Maybe I'll slide this down so it butts up against the pipe like that so it doesn't have any sort of opening to it. I think that's good. I think we'll send this the way it is. Okay, I genuinely hope nobody was looking very closely at those welds, because I do not know how to use a flux welder. So the heat's off. I know how to use a MIG welder, trust me, I do. But I can probably even TIG weld, but that's just awful. I don't know how to use one of those. Anyway, let's see how this thing starts and runs with the vacuum fixed and with the exhaust fixed. Oh, heat's all the way up. Check engine lights on for some reason. That's not a good sign. Probably my fault. I'm trying to get the alternator to charge up. Oh, this ain't good. All right, let's get her to idle for a bit. There we go. I think she just really needs to relearn a fuel map, and I'm doing it no favors. So let's see how, pardon me, let's see how the exhaust sounds. I don't hear nothing. I mean, it's probably leaking out the little seams. Not bad though. I think it's running fairly normally. Nowhere near the exhaust leak that it had before. Yeah, it feels like a lot of air is coming out of there. Exhaust, whatever you want to call it. I think it's pretty good for now. Okay, hold up. That video on the Saab was actually supposed to end, but I figured it wasn't enough content for one video. Kind of cheap, kind of cheesy. Oh, I fixed a vacuum line and I welded one piece in the exhaust. Not good enough. So guess what? It is now going to be a project car repair video. Because, as you could probably see, there's a black hood next to me. And we all know what the black hood is if you're a normal patron to my channel. It's the Crown Vic. It's covered in salt. I've been driving it. I took it to Rhode Island the other day. And not only does the Saab have problems, the Crown Vic does too. Not only does the Crown Vic have problems, and the Saab have problems, but my truck also has problems. Let me fill you in. Now, the Crown Vic I've been noticing this lately. You can see wetness down here. Sorry, you can see wetness down here and pooling down in there. Yeah, radiator's cracked. It's one of them stupid plastic aluminum hybrid jobbies. And the master cylinder let go. Now, it's had an ABS light and a brake light on since I bought it. And I tried to bleed the brakes out to try to get rid of the spongy pedal, and that wasn't it. It was the brake master cylinder, because I bled the brakes out. Now, when I have the car running, I bled them out twice, actually. I had done it two different ways. I did it by myself, and then I had my wife help me. Neither way, the car was going to get any pedal back. So I said, okay, well, we're pretty much dead in the water here. Because as soon as I started the car up and stepped on the pedal and held it down, it goes straight to the firewall now, if I just push enough pressure on it. And then I fired my truck up to try to move that, because I was going to go to Massachusetts and pick up stuff for my other project car. That is my super secret project car that I keep telling people about, that still is not here, and I still can't work on it because these things keep breaking down, and it keeps snowing out, because right now outside it is snowing, and we're going to get 2 to 3 feet of snow. So I went to get in my truck and go to Massachusetts and pick up a rear axle from a friend of mine. I look underneath it, and it's pouring diesel fuel out of it. And not only that, but I stepped on the brake pedal of my truck, and that also went to the floor. So I'm having a banner week. My super secret project that is extremely sentimental is now on hold again. and I don't know what to do. We're going to get 2 to 3 feet of snow, and I can't get the axle that I need for it out of the donor car from Massachusetts. So I'm just stringing you poor subscribers along. And if you're not a subscriber yet, please consider subscribing if you enjoy failure and working on cars. But today, as it's a new day and the Saab is now moved out of the garage, I'm going to tackle this master cylinder. I don't even know what I'm doing. And the radiator, because around this side of the car, I have a radiator and a master cylinder and 2 buckets of pre-mixed. Yes, I know pre-mixed antifreeze is kind of a ripoff because you can get 1 gallon for 16 bucks and just mix it 50-50 by yourself. And these are 12 bucks a piece. So instead of paying $24 for antifreeze, you could have spent 16. I don't care, okay? I paid for convenience. So I got the master cylinder up here. I didn't really cheap out on Rock Auto. I did get a Raybestos. I mean, they're literally a brake company. They're not like whatever that is for the radiator. That was the cheapest radiator I could buy. That was not the cheapest master cylinder I could buy. Whatever. And then I went to O'Reilly's, got some brake fluid, because I got to do at least 2 master cylinders now. I got to do this one, and I got to do the one in my truck, which is outside getting snowed on. And so I bought a gallon of brake fluid. I figured it's got brake fluid in the lines. We'll have to do this and whatever. We'll figure it out, but we're going to get to work as soon as the heat decides that it wants to start warming up my garage. But, I mean, that little thing is really going to be taxed trying to get this place heated up. It's actually so cold in here, it's giving me letters instead of numbers, and the laser's not working. Just wanted to show you how cold it actually was. Came loose pretty easily. These are bulb fittings, and from the factory they're flex line, so it makes it a little easier to get out. One is bigger than the other one. So I put plugs in it so it won't leak all over the place. There's a little bracket here for the wiring loom that comes up here to the computer. Oh, yeah, that came off quite easily. Looks a little corroded in there, not a big deal. But yeah, there she is. Looks exactly like the part that I got. But before I do that, obviously, we're gonna take this little wire brush here and clean up as much as we possibly can. I don't know why the rust is so bad right here. It looks like there's, like you can see down in the, hopefully you can see down in here, and it looks like it's been leaking fluid. I don't know if it was leaking out the back of it or not, but I'm gonna look and say that's a possibility. Or they just were very careless when they were pouring fluid into it. I don't really know. Sorry. Can't breathe. I don't want to like adjust this rod or like mess with that too much. I just want to kind of knock the rust off, the loose stuff. And it's way too cold to run any paint over this. So my brother advised me to get a new vacuum booster, but I said no. So all we have to really do is just kind of R&R. Restore, replace, or what the hell does R&R even mean? Rest and relaxation? Because that sure ain't my life. And the nuts were nice and rusty, so you could just leave them on in there because they won't come out anyway. Now you're probably wondering, did you bench bleed it? Nope. Why didn't you? Well, because in order to bench bleed something, you got to stick it in a vise, and you got to push it on a plunger. I got a plunger right here. Just bench bleed it in the car. All right, this new master is in. I managed to bench bleed it fairly easily. If you're looking for a video on how to bench bleed master cylinders, they're all over YouTube. You'll figure it out. This is really not what I'm going to do because I've done so many of them, and I don't want to make this any more boring than it actually is. I still got to put the intake back together because I had to get that out of the way to get the bolts off. And I got to bleed the brakes again. And if you're going to do it yourself, get it either a vacuum one that you stick on top or one of those that pressurizes it, but this is kind of hard to do that. What I do is I get the single person system. I just hook a hose up to it and make sure it's higher than the point that I'm bleeding. That way it doesn't pull air back into the system, and I just pump the brake like 7 or 8 times. Make sure I don't run the master dry, fill it back up after I cap it off. And then usually I'm pretty good to go. I normally don't have any problems. Best way you can do it is put somebody in the driver's seat and go down, up about 50 million times. But this is how I got to do it because I don't want to subject anybody else to freezing out here. So I'm going to get that done and we'll get back to you on the radiator. Okay, brake master cylinder is completely done. I haven't started it up yet to see how it feels with the brake booster on. Obviously, I put the intake back on, stained the computer quite heavily, wiped everything up, bled wheels and etc. So whatever. Again, if you're looking for brake bleeding tutorials, they're everywhere on the internet. So that's done. I don't want this video to be too long because we still got to do this radiator right here. I've already got this on to try to take the power steering reservoir off. I'm going to see how much I can leave connected to it and just yank it straight out. And we'll see how this goes. I don't know what half of this stuff does, so this is going to be a process. I don't really care about this radiator. Now, old me would have just taken the radiator out, stuck some JB weld in whatever crack is down here, and just sent it. But since this is a plastic radiator and I don't know where else it's going to crack, I'm just going to take it out. I already bought a new one. I'll just stuff the new one in. I measured everything. Hopefully it's the same thing, and we'll get back to hopefully not having a leaky radiator. Status report. After probably the worst job that I've ever done on one of these cars, and probably a lot of other cars combined, it's out. It's only leaking all the fluid all over the floor. There's a giant, and I mean giant, mouse house all the way down the lip of it. I don't really know what this cooler is here, tranny or power steering, or I don't even know where it goes. But it's hooked into these hoses and into this power steering unit, which tells me it's more than likely power steering coolant. Yeah, I gotta get the vacuum out. I have to tend to some wounds. And I think I'm covering up the microphone, but I'm gonna take a little break because I am incredibly over this right now, and I'll get back to you when I'm sane enough to continue. Jeez. Oh no, the door doesn't shut anymore. I'm back from my break, and awfully cold in here. Probably 20-something degrees. Well, the heater, I did start it up, and now it's just humid in here. My dehumidifier is running nonstop, I had to change hats. Oh, I left mine in here. That's all right. I'll hang it up. But anyway, weather report. Yeah, it's snowing like hell. And I had to actually dig the door out so that I could get in here. Let me shut that because it's actually blowing through the cracks in the doors. So that'll make for a fun day of snow blowing and nonsense tomorrow. I'm just going to go stand in front of the heater and warm up before I have to get back to work on the radiator. So, yeah, the radiator, I was thinking about taking and putting the, I don't know what it is. It's like a combination transmission and steering cooler or something like that, and just kind of deleting on it. But I don't think I'm really going to do that now. I think I'm actually going to I'm not breathing that. Huh. I guess I must be stuck with a lot of snow on me. All right. But I'm just going to put it back the way it came, and I'm going to just put different clamps on it because I'll show you why I had such a problem with, this is really distracting. It's like, am I on fire? No, that's just the snow coming off me. All right, good. I'll show you why it was so difficult to get that radiator out later. So you can see they use pinch clamps on everything. Everything. And when it's tucked in here underneath this mount and you can't get a pair of pliers in because there's crap constantly in the way here and under here and over here, like this, everything is in the way, you cannot get the damn clamps off. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably just swap the cooler over to the new radiator, and I'll just put like screw type clamps on, just regular hose clamps, so that I don't have to try to get a pair of pliers or a different pair of pliers or whatever into the engine bay because it just doesn't fit. All right, so I went in for a little wardrobe change. I got really soaked by the snow because I had to go out and shovel a path to my, you can't see, there's doors closed, but I had to go shovel a path for my snowblower and junk, so she's back together. Now, this car is magic, okay? I just want to tell you how magic this car really is. When something falls into it, like lug nuts or anything else of the sort, they stay there forever. They're gone. They are gone forever. I lost 2 lug. This whole thing went down. I got everything back except for, I even got the valve stem that I pulled out of my old tire. I didn't tell you about that either. Or did I? Well, whatever. If I told you, I'll cut it out. The valve stem on my tire was not changed when I got new tires and was leaking air, so I had to change that. I even got the valve stem cap back. I mean, I got everything back, except I'm missing 2 lug nuts. And they're in the car somewhere. But I'm about to open the door because this is the only spot that I could actually open. This door, I think, is covered in snow. I don't even know. This door is getting recovered in snow again. Yeah, so I'll just leave that open for a moment. And I'm going to start it up. We're going to purge the system. We're going to make sure there's no leaks. And we're going to make sure all the bubbles come out of the cooling system, everything like that. So just all standard procedure. Yeah, levels going up and down, so I can tell the water pump's moving something. I think one of the idler belts is making a noise. I think now that's going to call an end to this video. Again, Project cars are project cars, man. Things break down a lot, and especially when you start putting some mileage on them, 150,000 miles, 15 years, etc. You're going to get some parts that mileage out. I probably would have included my truck in this video, but parts weren't here yet. Can't do much when you don't have parts. So the Crown Vic's done. Again, I might have to bleed the brakes just a little bit more, maybe get a little more pedal feel into it and flush the old stuff out a little bit more. I got plenty of fluid to do that. I think I'm going to do that. Coolant seems to be staying in, as well as all the other fluids that go through coolers that are attached to the radiator. Power steering and transmission don't seem to be leaking. So that's good. I got to find those 2 lug nuts that went missing in Narnia, wherever that is, somewhere around here. And then maybe I'll get to work on something else. But until next time, I appreciate y'all watching. Take care. Please like and subscribe if you can. If you do like what you see, tell your friends. And thank you again. I appreciate it.